Welcome back, Troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we have a 2014 Les Paul Peace model. Now, I am a huge fan of the Peace series. I think they're really cool guitars, and I think it's a shame that a lot of people take the Peace parts off of them and convert them to traditional standards. So it's kind of nice having one of these that's kind of all original. I did make a few modifications to it myself because I don't know about you guys, but I hate the mini tune stuff. I just like traditional tuners. I get it if you sit down and actually learn how that thing works, and if it works properly, it's a nice little tool, but I just threw some Grover branded Cluson style tuners on here, and I swapped out the truss rod cover. The original truss rod cover looks like this. It says E-Tune on it. I think it's really ugly. I really wish they would have went with like a Peace version. Now, I had a Les Paul standard truss rod cover I was going to put on here, but this must be a counterfeit one. I had gotten this in a bundle of stuff, and it doesn't quite fit up. I'm going to go ahead and include this if you wanted to modify the holes so it does line up to have a standard. That's perfectly fine, but for now I have a Les Paul custom truss rod cover on it because, you know, it's kind of a custom feeling guitar because you don't have too many purple Les Pauls out there. Now, I bought this guitar from somebody who's a fan of the show. He was selling it on Reverb. He ended up taking my offer because he wanted to see this guitar on my channel. So here you can see this is probably one of the most beautiful Peace models I've had. Beautiful flame top, and it's just, you know, all stock where it needs to be. So if you don't know what the Les Paul Peace model is, it's very similar to kind of like a Les Paul standard or a traditional. They're built in a very similar way, but they have different parts on them that make them unique. The first part is the switch tip here. The switch tips on these are actually kind of like a rose color, so it's very cool. I will say that they do kind of start showing some wear. This one definitely has some wear on the top that I'll try to get some photos of. And there is a very small split down the side, but it does still function. But it's kind of a really nice color. What I like about this is it kind of makes all the other plastics a little bit more pink looking when you're looking down. And the purple finish really just gives the cream hue of these plastics a completely different look. I love this guitar. The next thing we'll go over here is the tailpiece. It says Peace on it. But something that not everybody knows is that the studs themselves have the Peace emblem on it as well, which is very cool. The only downside to that is I feel like you always have to have them in that position, so you kind of have to have a full turn on them if you're setting up your stop adjustment. The next part is the knobs. They're built specifically for this model. They have the Peace symbol on them as well. So besides that, that's really the main differences here. The Les Paul Peace came in 4 colors. There was kind of a sunburst one, an orange one, a green one, and a purple one. Towards the end, there were 2 of the colors that were kind of like discounted super cheap and blown out, which surprisingly is the blue one, and I believe it was the sunburst one was the other one. I could be wrong at that, but I think they were blown out for like $1,200. But the purple ones and the green ones, to my knowledge, were never blown out. So I think brand new, these were listed at like $2,200. So they're very cool guitars. They do have a traditional weight relief, which I believe is the little holes, but beautiful guitars. If you want a Les Paul in an exotic purple finish, this is pretty much the one you have to go to unless you can find one of those Les Paul goddesses, but those are a little bit different compared to a traditional guitar setup. Beautiful guitar. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Alright, the face of the headstock, you just have a little bit of wear and tear, some light scratches from string change wear and when I changed the tuners, but nothing really too extreme, just some light scratches kind of in this area. Once again, I did change the truss rod cover to a Les Paul custom because I kind of like the black and white look compared to pure white, but you can always change that back. I am including that standard and E-Tune truss rod cover. Another difference of these is they have stock black nuts for some reason. So if you want to replace that to an original looking nut compared to other standards, that's always an option. The frets on these run over the binding edge, which is actually kind of a plus as far as playing goes, because on modern Les Pauls, more so than on the vintage ones, for some reason the strings just get caught in between a gap on them. So I kind of like it when the frets run over the edge. I mean, it doesn't look as prestigious,
but it's definitely a good thing for playability. This is a rosewood fretboard.
Something about the Les Paul piece, similar to the Derek Trucks SGs, they have very dry rosewood, so you have to make sure you keep them oiled.
This one was very dry and light colored when it came to me, but now you can see it's in much better shape. 120th anniversary year is 2014, so you do have that inlay there. So it kind of makes these a little bit special. This inlay actually originated in 1994. They had that on 12 distinct models for the centennial year, and then they kind of recycled it for the 120th on pretty much every single guitar.
So there's a lot of hate out there to this inlay because it's on everything, but I think it looks kind of cool on a special model like this one.
You can see beautiful purple finish. I love the wood grain in this area. It's kind of like knotty a little bit. So it has a lot of movement to it, just a lot of nice wood grain. Everything works so nicely on these purple ones. This is definitely one of the nicer ones I've seen. The top isn't overly done. It's just beautiful and shimmers just correctly. I mean, there's some very light wear and tear. We'll go over it here again. Just light scratches from play wear. And honestly, this is a really nice playing guitar. I hope that kind of shows through in the demo. You have the PAF 61s in here. That's what they came stock with. So you can see right there below the pickguard, there's like some fingerprint smudges that I wasn't able to get off. So that is kind of a little blemish, but overall, very cool. My only complaint to this model is I wish they would have had like a little peace symbol right here maybe. And that might be overdone with the knobs being there, but I wish there was a little something special on here. And I wish the truss rod cover would have had a peace sign on it instead of the E-tune. But besides that, I think the piece models are really cool. Back of the headstock here, serial number is 140022, looks like 529. And this is a 2014 model, as you can see there. Now, this originally shipped with an E-tune system on it. I do have the other tuners, but these things are confusing. If you don't know how to work them, they can be very frustrating. It took me, I don't know, like 6 hours just to get the darn strings off because I didn't want to like break it or anything. So I took this off. In my experience as kind of, a guitar dealer that buys and sells stuff, if you don't know how to use this, they're going to automatically assume it's broken and get angry at you for selling them a broken thing. So whenever I get a guitar with these, I just replace it with regular tuners. I will still include it if you would rather have this. I'll gladly put it back on and swap it for the tuners. So I'll let you choose, but I do have it. But I put Cluson styled Grover Deluxe tuners on it. You can see they say Grover Deluxe. Now I did not drill the holes for the tuners. I just kind of secured them from the top. They stay in tune pretty well, so you don't necessarily have to drill those pilot holes. But if you decide that you want to keep these tuners, I would definitely suggest going ahead and doing that. I will include the screws for you. But I thought, well, if somebody really wants that E-tune on here, or they would rather have a Grover tuner, a traditional looking one, I thought I would just not drill it. That way there's not extra holes in the back of the headstock for you. But these tuners, they look the same as what they came with stock, but obviously they're real tuners, not the robot stuff. Now, this finish is not black. It looks black, it sure does, but it's kind of like a really, really, really dark purple. But it acts just like a black finish, so it's going to show all these smudges. I mean, this guitar is actually in pretty clean shape. I mean, you can see just my handling wear from right here. But there's like no breaks, cracks, or repairs or major scratches to it. It's just, how a black guitar is, basically. The back of the guitar is in good shape. You can see some more light smudges and some light play wear. But for the most part, there's just some dust showing and some light scratches. Side of the guitar is in good shape, just some light wear and tear. The strap buttons on these are the stock ones. They're kind of larger than normal. They're kind of supposed to be semi-strap locks, I think. At least keep it on a little bit better. But overall, the piece models, big fan of these. I think they're beautiful looking guitars, especially these purple ones. But really any of the finishes are kind of interesting. As I mentioned before, you're going to find these guitars with swapped out parts all the time, so I think these are going to be future collectibles in all original shape. The knobs are very unique, the tailpiece is very unique, The switch tip is unique because I don't think all of them got the special switch tips. I think it's only the earlier ones that did that. And also, they came in a fancy case. So if you can get one of these pieces that's all original, or at least with the cool parts, who cares about the whole tuner thing? I would definitely suggest checking one out. Take a quick look under Blacklight here. Not too much glowing because it hasn't been out in the sun or anything, but it would at least tell us if there was a repair and kind of helps us see any minute scratches or anything. There you can see the beautiful flame top. A look at the back of the headstock here. Most Les Paul pieces you don't even see the Made in USA stamp because the E-tune covers it, but it is there. Now there is this little weird spot on the neck. I'll describe that more in detail here in a second. But the back of the guitar is good. Those are just dust. That's not like impressions or anything. Something about this guitar, it just attracts the dust. I've dusted it off a few times. But really, this guitar is in great shape. I mean, it's been lightly played, so it's not mint condition. But, I mean, if you're looking for one to collect, I mean, it's very close to the condition you'd want after a nice polished job. Now there is something I want to show here on the neck. You're about halfway up the neck here. And if you shine the light on it, you can see there's like a small gold glitter spot there. It doesn't rub off, so I'm not sure if that's from the factory or somebody accidentally got some paint on it. But it is there. And then once you hit it with Blacklight, I mean, let's take a look at this area here. I mean, it's all good besides some polishing swirls. But here you can kind of see that purple color. But once you hit the Blacklight on that middle, it actually glows a weird color right there. So I'm guessing this was sitting on a stand that kind of burnt that into the nitro finish, or something was sitting on it while it was in the case. So in normal lighting, you don't see that at all, but in Blacklight it is there. Here is the other really cool thing about the Les Paul Beast model. It came in its own custom-made case specifically for this model, and it's made of hemp. So it kind of has a really cool cloth feel to it. It's like a guitar cloths feel. I mean, it has the Peace logo on it, Gibson USA logo. It has 5 latches, and one on the back, and a kind of a darker brown handle here. The interior is pink on the bottom, and kind of a 70s vibe Peace thing going on at the top. It's just a really unique case. A lot of times when you're buying a Les Paul piece, people will have sold this case off for more money, or they're keeping it for themselves. So if you're buying a Les Paul piece, make sure it has this case, or else don't be paying top dollar because they're being cheap and keeping the cool case for themselves. In here is the charger for the E-tune. This is where the original E-tune will be as well if you wish to have it instead of the other tuners. You also have the truss rod adjustment tool, but everything's good to go. The case does show some wear and tear from use, so this one's, not exactly collector grade condition if you're just buying this for the case, but you've got some light wear and tear and scuffing from using this for gigs. Despite having some weight relief to it, it still weighs 9 pounds, 13.3 ounces. So it's a heavier guitar, but it definitely feels right in your hands. The cleans will be running through a Gibson Super Gold Tone GA30RV. The dirty tones come from a Marshall JMP 1C. If you think you might be interested in owning this Les Paul piece, now that my review is done, it will be for sale on my Reverb shop. You can also contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys. So, Troglylites, thank you for tuning in today. We will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.